maybe I can pick your brain while I'm at it, Caroline. I was doing the guardianship form, the petition,
Mm.
and it's pretty difficult because the user could either be the minor, or it could be the say another person. Let me just see if I can. I filled it out as best as I could.
You're going to share it, or should I pull it up?
I'm gonna share it with you right now. Hey,
Okay.
Matt.
All right, I think we're just going to be no video for me since I'm trying to keep the kids' faces off the interwebs.
Okay. Do you mind if we just quickly have a look at this while we're waiting for critical
Yeah,
mass?
no, that's fine.
Okay. So
are you in South Africa?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
I am the South African volunteer.
I was thinking Ireland because of your name.
Yeah, no, I'm Irish.
It's
Yeah.
6 hours, but I thought we are usually in Wales all summer for 4 or 5 months.
Oh,
and I was
really?
thinking, well,
Whereabouts?
Anglesey, North Wales.
Oh,
Well,
no, that's fantastic. I must say, I love Wales. I love that whole thing. So basically,
are you South African?
I'm half. So my dad's Irish and my mom's South African.
Oh, I see.
So,
Gotcha.
but I can actually tan. Right now, I'm not. But I got the Irish name and the South African skin.
All right.
So this form over here, petition for appointment.
Am I seeing a big black box? What is that? Is that?
That's the video. I'm going to minimize it.
Oh, it's weird that I can actually see it. Usually okay.
So this is the form. I filled it out, and I've got, the minor, and then information about the minor. But then the petitioner can either be a person who's interested or the actual minor itself.
Okay, so I think right. So I think this is what we were talking about. This is a really good example. This is what we were talking about on Saturday, and I think I feel really badly. I can't remember who talked about what before, but I know, Maeve, you've been doing a lot of these forms. But I think we came down thinking that we're going to have plaintiff and defendant, and this one would be petitioner. And then in the interview level, that's the person that you're talking to is the user, but you're going to ask them questions, and then as in the process of asking questions, the doc assemble figures out what role they are. Yeah,
I see. And so that's going to be petitioner. I'll just change that from user to petitioner. And then
really
you'll be petitioner too, because there can be a co-petitioner in that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to update that, and then
it makes so much sense. And you're the person who really understood the idea that if the petitioner's name is in there more than once, you do the underscore with the number.
Yeah.
Right? That wasn't hard to understand, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
It's basically just instead, because otherwise it pulls up a hashtag and a 0 or whatever as you go through the form. So it just makes sense to replace that with the underscore 1 or underscore 2. But okay, I'm just going to move that across on the Trello board so that no one starts quality checking that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, I hijacked that meeting there for 5 minutes. We can maybe go back into.
That's okay. We're going to want you to hijack it again in a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Matt, do you want to sort of kick us off here?
Yeah. So I think the high level right now is that Quentin is almost done with creating the housing TRO, which is great. And as I just discovered, thanks to some changes he made to the wizard, it is now much, much easier for people who are of like intermediate DocAssemble skill level like myself to go in and turn the wizard interviews into something that actually makes sense. Because unfortunately, because of some of the ways, because of the high level at which the wizard operates and how sophisticated it is, I discovered that over the weekend I kind of needed some help before I could do that, but I don't think that'll be an issue now. So I talked to Kate Berry and to Caroline, and I think over the course of this week, we're going to be doing some paired programming to get the 209A forms up and running. I think there's definitely like things are getting back to business as usual for our volunteers. So a lot of our volunteers. So the labeling, except for complete diehards like Maeve, has slowed down. And I think if people have law school contacts, it's worth pushing out to those. We've got most of the guardianship minor forms in the pipeline, but there's still a few more of those that need work on them. So if anybody has time to do the labeling there, I think that's our biggest need. And hopefully this week, we're going to approach having some kind of workable 209A form as well. Am I missing anything, David?
Give me a second to get to my mute. Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything. I'm however starting to work on the landing page so that we can have something. The sort of strategic context here is that I think we're about to lose our window to do something with the courts. So we need to have something ready this week, at least with the TRO and hopefully with the 209A. Otherwise, I think we're going to miss that window of actually being able to be adopted by the courts. So there's sort of a push there. And so this is where I remind folks that we don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good, and that justice delayed is justice denied. So we want to ship, we want to do no harm, but we want to ship something so that the courts can adopt it and start using it along, hopefully with their helpline, and then we can build out the rest of the forms. But I think that it's hard for people to keep a vision in their head for very long. So that's context.
Yeah.
That being said, everyone's doing, from everything I see, everyone's doing a great job trudging through all this stuff. And then I guess there's also sort of a strategic thing we're thinking about as to sort of underline what Matt was saying. We're sort of moving into a different phase, which is like everyone had a little something they could give right away phase. And then there's going to be this phase where we're going to have to try to get through this first part of the emergency. And then once we've built everything up, we'll sort of be hopefully a more well-oiled machine. And then it's just going to be about turning out form after form after form. So we're still trying to sort of stand up all that infrastructure to facilitate that machine of form turning. And we probably have like a week or two more of that. But then after that, it's going to be just a long trog of like going through and doing the things like Maeve put together for the training she did for the labeling on just a bunch of forms, and then going through and doing new stuff with that. So that's just put things in context. All right, well, are there any blockers? Is anyone having anything that's stopping them from doing anything?
I can do the rest of those guardianship forms. The first one of any kind of form is always a big challenge because you're getting used to the new kind of terminology and everything like that. But let me have a look at how many guardian forms there are. Because I think I did the petition that we just talked about, Carolyn and I just talked about now. I just need to revise one or two of those labels, but I think now I'm kind of like in the swing of that form, so I can just just bulk do those ones.
Cool. And Matt, are those aligned? Are our existing forms in the pipeline now aligned with that document I sent over from the court?
You're muted.
Still muted. He's getting to it. There
we go. Yes, but they're not all in there, right? Like
yeah.
We haven't had the resources.
As long as we're doing things that are within the subset of what the court said, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't. I want to make sure we're not doing things outside of that subset.
We're not. Yeah.
I had one look. I looked at, I think on the weekend, I looked at the guardianship forms, and I can't remember which one it was, but there was one at the bottom of the list in Trello that it was one of those Adobe InDesign or whatever, and I don't think I could open it at all. I may be wrong, and I don't know if that would be. I thought I know I dragged it. I know I downloaded it to my computer because I couldn't open it because it wants to open the browser, and it's one of these, you don't have the right Adobe something or other. And I dragged it up to Dorna's Documate PDF unlock, and when it unlocked it, it gave me the message, Adobe's not up to date. So that form may be, I don't know if you've gotten to it, Maeve.
No, I haven't. I've just tried that first one, but I can.
Yeah, so I don't, that may.
Is it the bond form?
Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah, I uploaded that. I can try again because I know it works on the version I have downloaded, but the court forms just do this.
Well, it's because of the software. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because I know when I uploaded it, it was working for me, but now it's not. So.
Okay, all right. So I'm not, okay. I just wanted to bring that particular form. I didn't want somebody to get stuck on it.
No, because that is like an essential form too for these. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get that one right.
David, do you mind just expanding when you say that the window of opportunity with the courts is closing? Have you, like, what have they said to you in conversations?
Well, it's more of my sense of the wind running. So what's happening is they're standing up a bunch of, so for context, they're standing up a helpline where they're going to have people call in and use the helpline. So they've published a bunch of phone numbers and some emails for people to contact the phone line. And now their basic idea is that they're going to have people manning that phone line. And so the thing I worry about is that once they start to operationalize that, they'll start to say everything should be pushed through this phone line. Now, what I'm hoping to get them to do is to the people manning that phone line, give them access to what we have too, and say, hey, if you're on the helpline, use this. You can fill it out for the person. And then instead of having to just what they're doing now, which is type these all out or hand scribe them out, they can use us to help do that. So that's the context. And then the other thing is I'm just worried about them operationalizing something and then having that and saying this is working for us, and then not wanting to shift. So, and of course, Maeve is now frozen.
She's frozen?
I don't know. Or being very, very still.
She's up. She's moving
now. She's back. Okay. You were frozen for a second. I don't know if you caught all that. You're muted as well.
There's something with the undersea cable here that the internet is just messing around. I'll get the rest of that on recording, the part that I missed.
All right. Okay. If there are no other blockers, Matt, do you have anything? You're muted. His mute button must be really far away.
Yeah, the keyboard shortcut did not work. No, I think part of it is that we still have relatively little, this, just as a lot of we've been having people like Maeve and other folks kind of really sit down and wrestle with the labeling in order to work out all the kinks there and spend a lot of time doing that. I think I am now going to be starting to do that with the coding, because while people like Quentin and Michelle, and David, just not in DocAssemble, are real developers and can work on this backend stuff and the user interface. For folks like me, just getting the interviews into a better space, it's only really now that is possible, that the wizard has gotten sophisticated enough. So I'm gonna be shifting more of my time to that, I think. And also there will be kinks inevitably that are surfaced in that process.
All right, well, it sounds like everyone then has more than enough to keep them busy. Noelle, do you have you have plenty of stuff for you to do?
I actually reached out to Matt today because I feel like I'm not being helpful. But I was actually going to ask Maeve if I could watch you do one of the labelings, if we could do like a share screen, just so I feel like I can be helpful with that. I just haven't done it yet. So I want.
Okay, we can do pair programming. We can do a pair programming situation where I go through maybe adding the fields and labeling them, naming them, so that you can see how it's done. And so I don't know if you have like time after this call.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right, cool. And you both have ways that you can connect with each other? I assume you both,
Zoom?
Someone has Zoom or something?
Yeah, I can do Zoom.
Yeah, and then I'll share the screen. And then David, is there still a need for?
Oh, darn undersea cable. No. There's still a need for something. I'm sure there is. Okay, Maeve, we lost you for a second. Was there still a need for something? No. Maybe if you shared only your audio. I'll share chat and suggest that. Matt, anything?
Matt or whoever, do you think that should we be adding a few more forms to the list of forms to be labeled in the Trello? I can think of a few that might be good candidates, like the contempt complaint, because that is on the list for probate court, because that is on the list of forms, and it's nice because it's simple. It's one form. It's the complaint for contempt, and then that can be filed along with that emergency motion.
Just to clarify, is that on the list of forms from what was uploaded?
From that probate court list where they had, from the standing order about the emergency orders, and then there was that list that they were saying these are
I shared with you. It's a Word document.
Yeah. And complaint for contempt is on that, and that might be nice just because it's like really you file that in an affidavit of indigency and probably a motion to be heard on an emergency basis, and that can be like filed. That might be like a simple one to add in.
I think, yeah, I was actually
we don't want to be adding stuff yet.
I was literally just typing to you and Maeve about that it might be a good idea to do that. Maybe that, and just so we can have a little more in there because hopefully I feel like there's a possibility we get some new volunteers joining this week, and I'd like that stuff they can jump right on. Maybe we could also add the adult guardian forms as well.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Would you and Maeve be able to do that? Or
yeah, I had there was that drive that I shared with you. I can start pulling from that where I had put all the essential forms in that one drive.
Yeah, and if you do it, Kate, frankly, it's gonna, I mean, as Caroline could attest to, there was a lot of hiccups at the start of this because I just didn't label the 209 AM forms correctly because I had no idea. So that'll be helpful, Kate. I know you're not like probably an adult guardianship expert, but you definitely know more than I do.
No, and somebody that one of the volunteer lawyers knows somebody who is, so I think we have somebody we could get questions on that process answered from. And then I had also sent you that like boilerplate emergency motion. I don't know what we want to do with like kind of the drafted up boilerplate language.
Yeah, I think my vote would be we'll hold off on that for now and stick to these forms. If we get to a point where we need to have a value add besides just forms, that'll be the perfect thing. And David, even in the consumer debt context, people are already talking about, like, for example, if people have to try to vacate garnishments en masse, right? That this is something that would be useful. So, and as it's actually a lot easier to do DocAssemble developing with motions in a way because they start as Word documents. So it would be a different flow and a different process, but I think
I think that's worth thinking.
The one thing, so I could see for most of probate court has like a blank temporary order form that I think people could use rather than having a boilerplate motion for custody, etc. The one that I had given to you that might be a little more urgent is the boilerplate emergency motion to be heard that I think people are going to need if they need an emergency hearing in the COVID crisis, and I don't think pro se's are going to be able to write that. It was like emergency motion to be heard during the COVID-19 crisis. That's the only one I could see like being a little more urgent. And like if people pro se's right, I need custody all the time. But that emergency motion to be heard while the courts are semi-closed could be important. If that makes sense.
It totally does. As with our conversations this morning, I think it all comes down to like, do we have the resources?
Right. Yeah.
I think right now we get the TRO and the 209A stuff out the door, and then use your best judgment to pick from that list of stuff that we have. And that also means what you're most comfortable working with. So, we play to our strengths.
Yeah.
And then hopefully once we get something to the courts and they're looking at it, then they'll be a little less slow in their motion to be like, oh, okay, well, we really want these 3, as opposed to just like, here, do everything.
Yeah.
And they can play more of a partnership role there. At least that's the hope. I mean, they're saying all the right things. It's just that I ask them a question and then it takes them forever to get me an answer back.
And they don't agree with each other either.
Yeah.
Well, there's always the fractious nature of the court departments. But yeah.
Sorry, can I interrupt and ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. For everybody that is doing the field labeling, is it possible that we keep it streamlined just because Liz and I are doing the majority of the quality checks and it's kind of getting confusing of what is ready for quality check. So I just wanted to see if we could just keep it streamlined and follow the suggestion that someone had made earlier. And that once you have added the fields, you say ready for QC. If that's possible, just so then Liz and I know which ones to jump in quality check.
That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, so let's clarify that, because I'm not, you guys want to comment on the card.
No, so for the documents, when we had first started, whoever added the field and labels, once they had added it, they'd upload that document and it would say like ready for QC.
Okay, so it's getting.
So you're talking about file names. That's what you're talking about.
Exactly, sorry. It's just to keep it streamlined, because like Liz and I are trying to keep our names the same for each thing, so just we know which ones are ready to be reviewed.
Yeah,
so
if you could push that out on the Slack, that would be great, because as you can see, there's not a lot of folks on the call.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. I just wanted to make sure that was cool with you guys before doing that. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
That sounds great. No problem. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't want to. I want to be cognizant of people's times. If there are no more blockers, I think we all have. Quentin didn't come on today because he's head down doing stuff, and I actually have a bunch of stuff I need to jump back into too. So, if everyone's clear on sort of their next marching steps, that's fine. Noelle, I think we have a call later today, or is that tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow too.
Okay, tomorrow. Yeah, everything runs together.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, then, is there anything anyone needs from me? And Caroline, I was watching that email thread back and forth about Social Security numbers and stuff, and it's one of my questions I'm getting clarification on.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we'll once we know what the court's going to say, we'll know what the court's going to say.
Yeah, I thought I'd just add it to the list.
Yeah. All right. Okay, well, if there's, I was going to ask Maeve to sort of show off some of the stuff she had done and talk about things, but maybe this is not the time for it now since she's not available.
Yeah, she's off Slack too, which is never the case. So I assume she had to shut down.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll loop things back in. Oh yeah, she's just saying connection unstable. She'll catch the recording. All right. Okay.
All right.
Cheers.